Backwards compatibility is a great feature going into the next generation and is definitely something that should not be overlooked. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. If you're new to this channel and you like talking about the next generation of consoles, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like this content. I'll be getting the next generation consoles on day one and making tons of videos on that stuff going forward. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Backwards compatibility is one of the biggest features, I believe, going into the next generation. I know a lot of people like to use the argument that why buy new consoles to play old games? There's tons of reasons to do that. We're in a time and an era where I believe that the graphics of games are at diminishing returns. Yes, we're going to see improved graphics. Yes, we're going to see improved lighting, improved shadows, and just overall better looking environments and better looking games. But it isn't going to be the massive leap that we were used to in the earlier years of consoles. So backwards compatibility has a lot of play going into this next generation, and for very good reason. And we saw last week that PlayStation 5 announced that pretty much all the PS4 games, minus a small list of like 10 or 9 games, are going to be backwards compatible. And a lot of the games are going to get that game boost, and you're going to get higher frame rates and higher resolutions, which is a great thing. Now, Xbox has come out. We already knew that they were going to be backwards compatible with Xbox One, Xbox 360, and original Xbox game. They've come out and kind of talked more about their backwards compatibility and the technology behind improving these games experiences. So Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S will be the best place to play thousands of games from across 4 generations of Xbox. Now they start off by talking about playing these games on the Xbox Series X and S and basically just how they're doing it, how they're going to improve the experience, saying that both the Xbox Series X and S are running with the full power of the CPU, GPU, and SSD. No boost mode, no downclocking. The full power of the consoles for each and every backwards compatible game will be utilized for these games. So basically it means that all titles are going to run at peak performance based off of what they were originally designed for. And they're going to have significantly higher performance than their original launch platform, resulting in higher and more steady frame rates and rendering at their maximum resolution and visual quality. On top of that, they're also going to receive better load times. So you know, games like on the Xbox 360 and Xbox One, the load times are just crazy. It was one of the worst things, especially for the Xbox One with that generation, just how long load times were for a lot of games. Those are going to be vastly improved, and that's a very welcomed addition. On top of that, the backwards compatibility games for the Xbox Series are going to have auto HDR. So they go on to say here, also, since auto HDR is enabled by the console's hardware, there's absolutely no performance cost to the CPU, GPU, or memory, and there's no additional latency added, ensuring you receive the ultimate gaming experience. And I think this is a really good addition to backwards compatibility, because if you played a game with HDR versus a game without HDR, there's actually a big difference. I found that HDR was one of the best improvements with the Xbox One S and One X, going from the original Xbox One. Basically, it just adds way more vibrance to your game. And you can see some of the examples I use here with Subnautica with SDR versus HDR. You can really see like the brightness in the water, the overall vibrance of the colors. And the same here with Fusion Frenzy. Darker, it's not as nice in SDR. We're over here with HDR, brighter, more vibrant, more fun, more interesting just to play because of that. Now, for my personal opinion, I've played original Xbox games on the Xbox One X, and I can say with the up res in frames, with the up res in resolutions and HDR, it does make those original Xbox games specifically like brand new experiences. Like you're playing something brand new. So if you have your favorite Xbox games on the original console that you want to check out and you have an Xbox One X, I would highly recommend doing that. Now we get to the most exciting thing about the backwards compatibility, in my opinion, for the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series. Basically, they have new technology that they're going to be using to double the frame rates of older games. So they have a video sample here, and this is of Fallout 4. If you played Fallout 4, you remember it's in 30 FPS. And for a game like Fallout 4, from the first person's perspective, it's definitely a much worse experience in 30 FPS than it is in 60 FPS. And this is a very, very cool thing that's going to be coming to backwards compatibility, and I'm hoping for a ton of games going forward. So what is it exactly? So basically, many improvements are the result of the custom designed processor that allows compatible games to play and leverage the increased CPU and GPU memory from the new consoles. In addition, however, the backward compatibility team has developed new methods for effectively doubling the frame rate on select titles. While not applicable for many titles due to the game's original physics or animations, these new techniques the team has developed can push game engines to render much more quickly for a buttery smooth experience beyond the original game might have delivered due to the compatibilities of the hardware. Basically, they're just going to be able to use the power of the Xbox Series X and S and increase the frames on games that couldn't do it because of how weak the Xbox One was in the last generation. And I'm just excited to see games that were in 30 FPS that would definitely benefit from 60 FPS get this treatment. And you don't need to worry about this whether it's going to happen on the Series X or the Series X, because it's going to be coming to both. The difference will obviously be that on the Series S it'll be in 1440p versus 4K on the Series X, which they go on to talk about here, where they talk about enhancing the visuals from 360p to play in 4K on the Xbox One X, which is the original Xbox games. And then for the 360, it went from 720p to 4K. And then if you have the Xbox Series S, it's going to bring these titles up to 1440p rather than 4K. So either way, it's just a great experience to get those frame rates and higher resolutions on games that did not previously have that. Now, they also top this off at the end to talk about the Xbox 360 users. If you're one of those people out there that is still playing games on the Xbox 360, you're now going to get cloud storage for free. So that basically when you finally want to jump over to the next generation of consoles, you can store all your save data on the cloud and then still play those games on the Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X and not lose any of your progress, which is an awesome solution, an awesome thing to give to gamers basically, so that they can continue to play their entire back catalog. Now we can get into the discussion as to why we want to play old games on new consoles, and there's just so many reasons. There's so many good games on the Xbox One I haven't played yet, I'm sure all of you guys haven't played yet, that you want to experience. And for the launch window for these new consoles, there's going to be a lot of like time where there's not crazy amount of new stuff to play that's built from the ground up. So we're just going to be still playing cross-generational games anyway, and we're still going to want to be playing games from the past generation. And the fact that we're going to be getting better experiences with these games now, with these next generation of consoles, for me at least alone, that makes these consoles worth getting a launch. With Game Pass, with my large back catalog, I'm going to be able to have the best experience possible on console with the Xbox Series X or the Xbox Series S. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to talk about that because there's always people saying that why buy new hardware to play old games, and I think there's tons of good reasons, especially with this upcoming generation. But I'd love to know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Are you one of those people that think there's no reason to play old games on new hardware? Are you excited for backwards compatibility? Do you have a large backlog that you want to play on the new generation consoles? Let me know what backwards compatible games you're going to be playing in the comments below. Thank you guys all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Make sure to stay tuned and subscribe if you're interested in the next generation, as I'll be getting both next generation consoles and making tons of videos on those going forward. And I'll catch you in the next video.